Want to give your home a cozy glow up? Wisco Home Goods has you covered with hand-poured soy candles, crafted in small batches, made to burn clean, and scented to perfection. Stop by their store at 4664 Cottage Grove Road on Madison's beautiful east side, or browse online at wiscohomegoods.com. Shop local, breathe easy, feel good with Wisco Home Goods. Want some summer fun for a good cause? Loop the Lake is coming up Saturday, June 14th. It's a go-at-your-own-pace bike ride benefit for Clean Lakes Alliance, presented by Lake Ridge Bank. Riders start and end at Oberth Park and travel 13 miles clockwise around Lake Winona. And perk? Kids 10 and under ride free with a paid adult. You in? Sign up for Loop the Lake today. Go to cleanlakesalliance.org/loop-the-lake and use code BIKE10 to save 10%. Today on City Cast Madison. We're digging into Madison's toxic traits. Because let's face it, we all got them, and so does our city. Our team got together to take inventory on what we see as Madison's most toxic traits. And we also asked you for your thoughts. Fair warning, there's a lot to cover, and all in good fun. It's Tuesday, May 27th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Y'all know we love Madison. Whether you were born here or moved here, this place is our home, and we're grateful for it. And because we love Madison so much, we want to share some constructive criticism with our beloved city. And we're part of it, so we're guilty of our own little things while we're here. Just want to preface, we're not talking capital C city like the Common Council or the mayor or anything like that. We're talking about all of us, the people who make up this beautiful place. So we've got some toxic traits, y'all. Britney Spears toxic that we need to talk about. So y'all ready for some tea? Because today's show is piping hot. Let's bring in my colleagues who have takes. Executive producer Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca. I am so ready to admit that I am the problem.
It's me. And newsletter editor Rob Thomas, are you ready to get spicy?
Spicy Rob is in the house.
Yes. Sassy Rob, let's go.
And we asked you, our listeners of the City Cast Madison podcast and readers of our Madison Minutes newsletter, to share your thoughts with us for this. And y'all came through. So with no further ado, let's get toxic. Let's kick off things with a voicemail. This one's from Christy on the east side.
My partner and I moved here about 2 years ago, and we've definitively decided that Madison's toxic trait is that no one knows how to pull over for emergency vehicles. We see people trying to split the road going into the left turn lane and the right turn lane. Y'all, we need to go to the right. You see an emergency vehicle, we go to the right. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
She is so right. She is so right. Oh my God. I've been in that instance many times where it's like no one is doing the right thing right now, and it's embarrassing and dangerous.
It is drama in these streets. That's so real. And yeah, it is dangerous. We got to be a little bit more assertive here as drivers, I think. Know the rules and follow them, right? We've all agreed upon this. We all took our driver's tests and we said, yes, I know how to do this.
I think one of the biggest responses we got for toxic traits was traffic related, whether it's people on bikes, people in their cars, people just walking on their feet. Like you say, knowing the rules is important. And sometimes people are rude, I think. But then sometimes people are go too far the other way and are too polite. We got an email from Danny G, who wrote, Madison pedestrians refuse to assert their right of way, and it gives Madison drivers a sense of entitlement to usurp pedestrians' right of way. I live near the quote unquote Cobra crossing at North Blair and East Mifflin, and I almost never see pedestrians or cyclists use the button to stop traffic and cross. Even with a lot of traffic, they'll just wait it out, sometimes for a while, instead of using their own right to cross. Now, I have done this. I've been on both sides of this equation. I think I very recently did this on a bike where I clearly had the right of way, but I was still like, oh, you go ahead, you know?
No, you go. No, you go.
No, you go. Please. I think it's a very Midwestern thing. I don't hear people in Chicago complaining about excessive politeness on the roads. And the thing is, like, in some ways, it's just as bad as being rude because, like, there's a set of rules, you know, there's a set of rules that everybody's supposed to follow. This happens at four-way intersections all the time where, like, the other person is clearly there first, but then they wave you on. And that leads to anarchy. That's not politeness. That's chaos. And
anarchy.
if you're trying to guess whether the other person is a nice person and is trying, you know, that's where the trouble starts. So we have a rule of law in this country. So please follow that. Yeah.
I think it's funny that Danny said this because I feel like pedestrians rule the streets when it comes to the campus area. Like you can just walk out into the middle of the traffic and people will just slam on their brakes for you. Like I used to tell people when they were visiting Madison, I was like, yeah, it's legal to just cross the street anywhere here. You don't even have to look. They'll do it. Like obviously it's not. It's a joke. That's a joke. Prefacing, it's a joke. But like I feel like pedestrians, and again, maybe that is just students are just like, I'm going to class. I got my headphones on and I'm not looking at you. This is it.
And that's why we warn people when they get on campus that the kids are going to be going different ways.
Anywhere, anytime. Yeah.
I'm the problem.
I've definitely encountered, like, I live on an intersection where the politeness is rampant. And it's just like, girl, you do not have a stop sign. I have a stop sign. Please go. Don't wait for me. Like, I don't know. Is it like, it's politeness and also it's just like, do you guys not know how to drive? You know, like, do you not know the rules? I don't know. So there's like some timidness that is really wild. And I do want people to use their right of way to walk. And when I moved to DC, I had someone from Wisconsin I was walking with. She's like, oh my God, you're so Midwestern. Because I was like being nice and like trying to run across the street. And like, we come first, like pedestrians come first. And in other cities, people seem to know that and follow accordingly.
Madison's in a weird spot when we're like, are we a walking, biking, driving city? We're kind of like not sure. And this is a gripe that comes up really often, I would say, on the Madison internet. So like one thing for this Toxic Traits show, we heard from our listeners, we heard from our readers. We also heard from a lot of folks on the Madison subreddit. I posted there before we got to recording to ask folks, you know, like, what are our toxic traits? What do you guys think? And people were waiting. People were ready in the wings, waiting to respond. We got almost 400 comments.
They were like, thank you so much for asking.
Yes. Thank you so much for asking. I've been waiting for this day.
You're saying people were complaining on Reddit?
Yeah, shocking, I know.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that people always talk about there is traffic. And people talk about like people driving crazy on the belt lines, people not knowing when or how to turn. Madison, I will say the city itself, I give people grace because it's a weird place to drive. There's a lot of weird intersections. There's a lot of weird one-ways, but also one of our most toxic traits, anyone that turns left into the Willie Street Co-op, immediate canceled. I'm just like, no, stop this. Get off, turn around. This is not it.
The one on Willie Street.
The one on, not like the north side one, like the one on Willie Street. Turning left on Willie Street, it's just turning anywhere on Willie Street. I've said this before. I think each block of Willie Street is its own like circle of hell when it comes to driving. It is just, it's bad. But I also feel an unnecessary amount of rage whenever I see like an Illinois license plate on the road. I don't know about you guys.
I know you're not alone, but you're like from Minnesota.
I know.
You don't even go here.
No, people definitely hate Illinois more, but as someone who has once had an Illinois plate because I lived there and then, moved back,
That's
I'm
so
just
funny.
like, don't hate them. But also Chicago drivers are just so selfish. But here we are, like here being like, be more selfish, do what you're supposed to do and take your turn.
I feel like I don't get mad when I see an out-of-state plate, but it's like when they do something stupid, I'm like, oh, that tracks. They're from Arkansas.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We also had another caller who had some thoughts about how Madison bikers behave on the bike path. So let's hear about that.
Hey, Bianca, Haley, Rob, and Jade. I'm calling about Madison toxic traits. So although this is a very bike-friendly, bike-positive city, the toxic trait is that people don't know bike etiquette. People could just say on your left when they pass, and it would be so simple. But instead, you can almost get hit when somebody passes you, and if you're like about to turn left and you don't know someone's going to pass you. I feel like, are people shy? Like, just say it.
They're right. But I have experienced it on the bike path where I say on your left and the person walking freaks out. Like I have shocked them out of some reverie they've had in their head and they turn around like, oh my stars and whiskers. And like I've just snuck up on them. So
Big bad Rob Thomas coming to scare you.
Yeah,
on a
I'm
bike.
just a guy on a bike listening, and
Just a guy.
Just a man. Yeah. So just let's all be aware where each other is, I think is the takeaway.
I've started saying it sometimes too when I'm out running. Like when I run behind people or like next to people, I'm like, I'm always like, sorry, so sorry, on your left, on your left. My favorite thing though for biking, I am a big proponent of a bike bell. We need more bike bells in this city.
Some people find the bell very passive aggressive, I have to say.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
another one of Madison's issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, working in restaurants, I say in buildings, I'll be like corner, if I'm in a restaurant, corner, just
all the time.
Please just communicate, but also don't be afraid if someone communicates with you. We're going to move on to more toxic traits. I feel like another big toxic trait is drunk driving. So here's a new category. I got friends in low places. You all know that, where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. People drink a lot here. We're a town of drinkers. And alcohol, you sweet poison, you are one of Madison's toxic traits. The great beer drinking state of Wisconsin, beer and cheese, everyone knows that. It permeates so much of our social life here that it seems like a given, but there are other ways to live. Obviously, alcohol is literally toxic, and one of you emailed us about this because you had the same idea as I did. This is John H., who says, there's no question in my mind that by far the most toxic thing about Madison, in a very literal sense, is its relationship to alcohol. The rates of alcoholism and binge drinking here are enormously high and represent a genuine public health crisis. What? No.
Once again, I'm shocked.
It's one of those issues that is just in daylight, it's just we're just living with it. And a lot of people are very proud of their drinking. We like to have fun. It's who we are. So don't at me for bringing this up as a toxic trait. But we really celebrate drinking culture, obviously at UW with the Mifflin Block Party and game days with Badgers. But the whole city, every other game day, Packers, what have you, find a full bar. People drink like it's a sport. And I know that having moved away and been oh, I'm weird for getting a fourth drink. That's weird? Yeah, it is in some places. So PBS Wisconsin reports in 2020, Wisconsinites died from alcohol-induced causes at a rate nearly 25% higher than the national rate. And I don't know if you guys saw the study years ago that had Wisconsin having 12 out of the 20 drunkest cities in the country are here. So I don't know. It feels like one that needs to be called out because there are a lot of people who are sober and a lot of people who don't want to drink so much, but kind of feel pressured in the social environments just to keep up with the crowd, Some people feel like it's an oppressive drinking culture. Yeah, y'all know what's good. Add in on this. Is this a big toxic trait?
I think this isn't just Madison, right? This is all of Wisconsin. And, I am from Minneapolis, not even that far away. And the drinking culture is not even close to what it is here. And I think, like you mentioned, Bianca, it is a little bit weird that we sort of relish in that fact that oh yeah, we're just a bunch of drunks and we're out here doing the thing. And I think we can move past it. Can we grow up a little bit? Wisconsin, we just love to paint ourselves, I think, in this caricature of we love beer, cheese, and the Packers, and that's it. And it's no, people contain multitudes, people contain depth. I do enjoy drinking and I do enjoy going out with my friends and whatnot, but drunk driving, that's something that we just have to be so much more serious about this. Seeing people get caught up for their 4th, 5th, 6th DUIs, that's not cute. It's just terrifying. It scares me to be a driver on the road. It scares me to be a pedestrian in these streets. It's a really horrible thing to think about. And hearing these statistics that we're dying literally at higher percentage rates than the rest of the country because of our relationship to alcohol. Like, I'm not trying to be cute or punny here, but it's just like a really sobering number. And it's just like, ooh, yikes. Maybe we're not going to go out for that next drink tonight. Or like, maybe we're going to make a better choice. Or maybe we're going to just drink some water. Stay hydrated, Madison.
Stay hydrated. But Rob, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the other thing is it affects the quality of life in other areas in Madison. And the one that I always think of is, I covered the live music scene here for a lot of years. It feels like every show, there's one guy who thinks it's a two-way conversation, who's had too many, or even just a group of people who are hanging out by the bar in the venue and are just talking their ears off, oblivious to the show going on. It's so annoying and frustrating. And I don't even understand it. Like, you paid $80 for this ticket. Why are you talking to your friends and going out of control? And it kind of leads me to the other gripe I have with, I love the Madison music scene. I've seen so many great shows here, but I think the fans are kind of fickle. And that's one of the reasons we have trouble supporting a local live music scene. Like, a lot of bands move away to Chicago or New York to continue their careers because I think we're spoiled in some ways by all the free music we have, the summer festivals, the university on the terrace, and people don't always show up with their dollars to, support bands when they play out live. I don't know, maybe they're spending all their money on the beer or what, but I think we can reorganize our priorities a little bit when we go out.
Do you need an entertaining spot for your next work event or birthday? How about taking it to the next level and choosing somewhere thrilling? The Thrill Factory has an arcade, bowling, tiki bar and restaurant, escape rooms, mini golf, laser tag, VR, and believe it or not, even more. Picture an indoor theme park on adrenaline. Oh, and did I mention they've got animatronic dragons? It's the ultimate family entertainment experience. All ages are welcome to enjoy Madison's largest collection of indoor activities. Their claim to fame is that they throw, quote, Madison's best corporate and birthday parties. Both of those event packages start at just $2.99. So, are you and your group ready for a thrill? Contact Thrill Factories at 608-285-5584 or online at thrillfactoryentertainment.com to book today.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
So we were just talking about music, the music scene and performances and how to show up there better. I want to talk about a different type of performance, one that I know that we have all seen, performative progressivism and allyship. Man, lots of people in Madison talk the talk, but don't necessarily walk the walk for supporting things like diversity and progressive values. That it's almost more important to be like down with the right causes on the surface as a type of like social cachet that you belong. You're hip to what matters, but then maybe privately vote against expanding housing options for Black and brown people, or like privately bristle about a change in your kid's school that's been made to help combat deep educational outcomes like disparities in the schools. So Madison has this like super highly educated populace, right? With people who pride themselves on their education. So I think most people know about structural racism and that minorities have been systematically dispossessed of opportunities to build wealth and health. And yet, like, what is the average proud white liberal in Madison doing about these disparities? You guys have heard these jokes that are made about all of the many Black Lives Matter signs that are in mostly white residential neighborhoods and like the in this house signs that say,
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're everywhere. So in this house, we believe no human is illegal. Women's rights are human rights. Black Lives Matter. Climate change is real. Love is love. Kindness is everything. Gorgeous sign. And there are plenty of them everywhere. And like, right, like, don't get me wrong. I personally love people taking a stand on their values. But the question is, does it go further than the sign in your yard or storefront window or the pride and trans flags, like signaling you're a safe place? What does that actually mean? Like, what's being done to include Black and brown residents in the city's prosperity? And I feel like this is one of Madison's toxic traits.
I 1000% agree. And this is also something that the fine folks of Reddit really came out for and said that, like, there's a lot of sort of toxic fake liberalism, a lot of virtue signaling. One Redditor said it is virtue signaling, quote, my yard sign can beat your yard sign. Like, it really is just that. And it's frustrating to see our city that really does talk the talk and stand so tall on these laurels, but are we really backing it up by walking the walk? And that's not to say that no one is, and there aren't good groups that are really doing it. I think there are, but we just had our conversation with Alder Dina Nina Martinez Rutherford about housing affordability, and she is Madison's first openly trans alder, and Madison is famously a trans sanctuary city, but she had dropped out of her race for alder because she couldn't afford to live here, So it's just like, what are we doing to support the people who we're actually claiming to support in name, right? And that's just like, that doesn't even go as deep as we possibly could, right? You want to dig into the racial disparities of this city? Ooh, man, like we'd need a whole season about that, right? We bring back the Race to Equity report. Madison is not necessarily a great place to be. And I mean, I'm here speaking as a white woman, right? Like, this is my burden to bear. I know I'm the problem, but like, it's so frustrating to see, again, a lot of this virtue signaling going on around town and no one really backing it up.
This is a problem in a lot of cities, but especially Madison, which I think likes to see itself as a progressive paradise. And especially, I don't want to get ageist, but it's older generations who've lived here and thought they've made this perfect place. And why would we ever want to change it? And we're saying the right things, but we're not necessarily doing them. The housing crisis being a key driver of that. And I think there should be a mandate that the next time somebody says, oh, we don't have a housing crisis, or we don't need to build more apartments, they should be required to list how much they bought their house for in 1973.
Yes.
So,
Spicy Rob, say more,
Spicy
say more.
Times change, cities change, and part of being progressive is literally progressing, moving, not just sitting on your laurels, as you say, Bianca, and patting yourself on the back. So I definitely see younger generations not quite as ensnared by that thinking, but there's so much more that could be done.
Yeah. And I just grew up hearing this my whole life, that Madison is a liberal bubble, right? And it's like, what does liberalism mean? Like, it's about supporting progressive policies that, look at money, property, and power and say, how can this be shared more fairly, more equally amongst the people here? And yeah, there's a lot of performance, a lot of virtue signaling. And unfortunately, like, in the performance of progressivism, to be like, I'm a good person, listen to me. And it's like, you're not actually doing the actions or putting skin in the game. You're just talking or putting a sign up. Talking is good. That's what the podcast is for, these conversations. But you can actually be causing more harm to the communities that you claim to value by just like needing to be important and talking about it and being seen as a good person. Like, there's actual actions that can be done. So how do we take it to the next step?
Yeah, I think a lot of this, I always go back to, whenever Madison ends up on a lot of these best places to live, best places to date or whatever, but it's like, best for who, right? It's best if you're an upper middle class white man. It's just like, we're not talking about everyone. There are a lot of people, and we don't talk about it enough, honestly. I'll call ourselves out here enough, but like, there are people who talk about like the tale of two cities, like Madison being one place for white people and one place for everyone else. It's not the same, and it really depends on how you grew up and the amount of wealth that you have here. And it really just, it makes a difference. Wealth, class, standing, employment. It's a hard place to live if you can't afford to survive here. And it's expensive, and it keeps getting worse.
Yeah, and people should notice, like, the city is pretty segregated.
Yeah.
We hear about Milwaukee. The cities in Wisconsin are rough, and, there are high racial disparities in student outcomes. Like, We heard about reading and literacy scores, like huge disparities across race, a school discipline for students, like who's arrested in the city and jailed, who gets bail. Like you can look in any corner and find racial disparities. And I just want folks more to recognize, like, oh, I'm in a bar. There are no people of color in here. It's like, that's actually like, that's because it's built by design. That's how the city is. So let's change that.
Yeah,
you know?
That was also another thing that folks brought up on Reddit too, is like a lot of segregation and a lot of like people of color just feeling really unwelcome and feeling just like, ooh, this is like, where are the people that look like me? They're not here.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at vanta.com.
I want to talk about something in Madison that is literally toxic. And unfortunately, I think you guys all know what I'm talking about. It's our lakes. It's our lakes. And I'm not just saying like, ew, icky lake water. I'm saying
like a little bit.
Like a little bit and a lot of it. But like literally, there are forever chemicals and agricultural runoff in our water, in our lakes, in our watersheds, in our rivers and streams that have created these environments that are truly unsafe for us to be around. So here's my hot tip that before getting in the water this summer, public health that says this, swim with your eyes first. If a beach is closed, don't get in the water, and don't let your pets get in either, because there's likely a reason that this has been closed down. And public health, this is a little bright shining star, because it's not all bad here. It's not all bad. They monitor our water quality on Madison beaches from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And you can, of course, track those closures online. And we'll put a link in our show notes for you, because we love you. But really, just to hammer in on this situation, I want to share an email that we also got from a reader, Katie. She said, quote, I've lived in Madison for 20 years and I often forget that we have lakes. There's very little public access to the lakes and very few restaurants with lake views. Put this in contrast to Chicago, where about the entire lakeshore is a public park. That's such a good point. I didn't even think about the fact that, like, where are our lakeside restaurants? Like, what? Like, why are we not taking advantage of this? And also, oh my God, I've given this gripe on the podcast before, but like, don't even get me started on the lake loop. It's not a lake loop. Like, you're going around the lake, yes, but you're barely getting any shoreline. Like, you're barely getting any lake. It's so annoying. It's like, what is this? Where is the lake? Where is this? And then you can only go swimming in there if you know someone with a boat and you can get out into the middle where it's like nice and pristine and really good. But yeah, we need more access. We need more access. We need more lakefront restaurants. I'm running for office, and it is lakefront restaurants. That's my campaign.
She's been announced. It's been announced.
I'm not. But if I was, it would be this: lakeside restaurants and rooftop restaurants. We need more of those.
Yeah, I lived in Chicago for a couple of years, and that was the first thing that shocked me. I was like, I didn't know this was a beach town.
Right.
I would walk like an hour or 2 hours on the beachfront, and I'm like, people are playing volleyball, and there's tiki. I was like, am I in Mexico? Like, I felt like I was in like a really cool area that was just full of recreation all the way up and down. So I am looking forward to whatever is going to be happening with the Monona Terrace redo. I know that's like years from now, but that was like, oh yeah, like why aren't we better utilizing these spaces? Well, there are a lot of people with houses across the lake, but bring the water back for the people.
Yeah, it's sort of that Wisconsin lake culture in some ways. You go to a small lake up north and everybody's got houses, but like these are not small lakes, and they shouldn't be, it should be dependent on whether you can afford one of those houses, whether you can enjoy it.
Right. Like you'd really think, I don't know, we could be doing much better by our lakes, especially like for the environment as well. Like I just hate seeing those algae blooms, and a lot of that is caused from phosphorus runoffs, and that's the agricultural side. But like in the water that you can't see are these forever chemicals, this PFAS, this runoff. A lot of that comes from firefighting foam that comes from the Dane County Airport, and having to deal with our friends who fly with the F-35s, which are their own their own piece in itself.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we've done we talked traffic, we've talked alcohol issues, our music scene, we've talked about progressive performances that we have, and then our toxic lakes. We've got so many more, and we love our city, and we're also obviously criticizing it. But we're going to do a quick game to round out this conversation, which is rapid fire. We're going to go and name off as many things that are annoying really quickly, just so we can purge a little bit more like we need to purge our lakes. F-35s flying over our heads with all those damaging noises.
Complaining about Epic employees just to complain about Epic employees. Hashtag not all Epic employees. I will be the first to say I love to complain about Epic employees. Number one being my boyfriend. Love to complain about them.
But Jade says it's toxic.
It's toxic. I also think it is quite toxic to think that it takes 10 minutes to get anywhere in town, but then forgetting about rush hour traffic or forgetting just about time and space in general.
And trains every time.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, if you're a West Sider, go to the East Side sometimes. If you're an East Sider, go to the West Side sometimes. It's at most 20 minutes away. Don't, get out of your neighborhood. Yeah.
For those people who want to complain about lack of housing, but then not wanting apartments to be built.
Spicy Rob said, show your receipts. On that note, too, thinking that everyone in Madison has the same political beliefs. We all exist on a spectrum, I'll say. And also a big one, too, is dead naming old places or like not calling new places by their new name. Like, why are we all stuck in the past? Like, oh, this used to be whatever, and this used to be something. And back in 1973, when Paul Soglin ruled the world, this looked like this. Grow up. We have new spots.
I kind of disagree on that one. I still think it's the Dane County Coliseum. I still think it's the Madison Civic Center sometimes. I mean, I'll just, you need our, these connections to the past like me, I think.
That's fair. You got to have, it's your Madison, right?
There you go.
Yeah. I'll say passive aggression, say what you mean what you say.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Whatever.
This one is very Wisconsin coded, but saying flannel is considered formal wear. I think I've shared this story before when I went to a New Year's party at the Great Dane, which I should have expected at the Great Dane, but like literally every man in there was wearing a different version of like the same flannel shirt. And I was like, what is going on? They were dressed to the nines. There's
some nice flannel out there. There's some nice flannel.
Yeah, I'm like on the opposite. I'm like, it is the opposite of toxic to wear flannel here, but it is like, that's the sauce we're in.
Asking anyone in their late 20s if they're in grad school. We're not all in grad school. We can't all afford grad school. Some of us had to work as journalists.
This one's from an email from Katie. The lack of public art. The city is large enough and sophisticated enough to have more landmarks, meeting places, and points of interest created by public works of art. In general, we don't have enough third spaces like that to get together.
That's so true. We need more. I think the world is lacking in third spaces. And speaking of places, the floors at Woodman's. I don't need to say anymore, but I will also say all of our grocery stores make me feel icky in different ways for some reason. I don't care to elaborate, but that's all I'm going to say.
Make nicer grocery stores. I've heard a number of drivers hate on bikers. I think that's toxic. Like, biking is good for the environment and for human beings and their health. So let's stop hating on bikers, and also bikers know your rules, as we heard earlier.
That's fair.
Y'all, are we ready to have me purged?
I think, have we let it all out? I'm sure there's more. There, like I said, there were 400 comments in that Reddit post, which is still up. You can go share your thoughts online with us.
I feel lighter somehow.
I kind of did too.
Feels nice. We'll have to do this one again.
We'll have to do this one again. We'll need to purge another 6 months. But here's the thing. We had our fun, right? Madison, we love you. And look, we got a bunch of loving and caring people who live here. And we're all people, except for all of the dogs and cats and other animals and rabbits. But as people, we are flawed. And it's fun sometimes to talk about how the place that we live can improve. And if you feel red for filth, good. Welcome. So do we. We're all in this funnel together, as you heard. So, y'all, thanks for joining. This has been a really fun team conversation about the toxic traits of Madison. Like, who knew we needed this?
Yeah, thanks for spilling some tea, y'all. This has been fun.
Absolutely.
That's me, executive producer Haley Sperling, newsletter editor Rob Thomas, and some of you who called and wrote in to dish on Madison's toxic traits. If you left us a message, thank you. For those who didn't, what did we miss? Or are you listening and now feel pretty peeved? If so, what did we get wrong? Let us know. Leave us a voicemail at 608-318-3367. It's your moment to weigh in. Why not? That's all for today, here on City Cast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. If you enjoyed this show, why not share this episode with a Madisonian who can both dish it and take it? Alrighty, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until next time, stay toxic, Madison.